This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER Adventure Hawaii 5-0. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1. Picture 1. There was trouble in paradise. A band of firebomb throwing terrorists had struck in the heart of tranquil Honolulu. As trial date neared for 7 suspects, their dupes and sympathizers worked to inflame public opinion against the courts and police. Their appeal was to ethnic Hawaiians and others who resented the influx of long-haired types, tourists and all newcomers. While they solicited signatures for petitions outside the majestic old judiciary building. A team of bomb experts from Hawaii 5-0, the Central Police Office, was quietly carrying out Mission 12 o'clock, directed by Steve McGarrett. Its objective was to prove to higher authority that terrorists could do exactly what they had threatened to do in a series of written threats: blow the building to rubble along with most of the surrounding civic center. Picture 2. The governor's limousine swept up to the judiciary building at the stroke of noon. Riding with His Excellency were the district attorney and McGarrett. The latter, eyes on his watch, suddenly muttered. "Pow! Up she goes!" Smiling grimly, he said to the others. "The whole building just fell on us, gentlemen. We're all dead." Encountering skeptical looks, he went on. "Sounds crazy, but these people mean business. If you'll bear with me, I'll show you how we're convinced they intend to go about it." Picture 3. Half an hour later, McGarrett held up a timing device wired to a dummy package of explosives. Undetected by anyone, he said, "Man planted this and 2 more like it at strategic spots in the building." All 3 lit up, simulating detonation at straight up noon, as scheduled. It stands to reason that whatever we can do, these fanatics can do also. "That does it, Steve," the governor said after a moment. "I want this building made secure. Whatever force it takes." He set his jaw. "And I want you to nail those firebombers and the authors of these threatening letters." His smile was grim. "It's a big assignment, but you've got a free hand, so get with it." Picture 4. In the lab, Danny and Chi Fong were putting the very latest letter through every possible scientific test. Ironically, the threat of violence ended with an old Hawaiian slogan. "Ua mau ke ia o ka aina e ka pono." The life of the land is perpetuated in right earnestness. Picture 5. McGarrett meanwhile had rushed to the bedside of one of the victims of the terrorist firebombing. Though near death, she had insisted on speaking to police. Leaning close, he could barely hear her whispered words. "All I wanted was to live in peace and raise my baby. Now all I want is to make sure these men can never do horrible things again." "Yes," McGarrett said, urging her on with his will. "We want that too. Can you help us? Tell us who." I recognize 2 of them. Aiko, he works at the gas station down the road from our commune. And Billy Thomas, her voice weakened further, faded and stopped altogether. McGarrett stepped back as the doctor moved forward quickly. The end had come, but the names she had spoken could mean the difference between success and failure. Picture 6. With 2 more suspects behind bars now, thanks to the dying girl, McGarrett made his pitch to the whole cell block, knowing it would probably be futile. "You guys say you're patriots. You want to help this land. Well, you can't help this land or any other by taking the law into your own hands. You can only destroy it. But if you really want to help it, then tell me who's behind these bomb threats, and tell me now. The only answer was silence and defiance. Then help yourselves, McGarrett went on. We've got enough on each of you to put away for half your lives. It's a murder rap now, don't forget. But if you speak up, you'll find the DA a little friendlier. When there was still no answer, no glimmer of expression on the hard faces, McGarrett wheeled and strolled out. At least he had tried. Picture 7. That night, in a waterfront warehouse, 3 men worked swiftly, efficiently, with gloved hands. They were removing dynamite sticks from the bottom of an unappended crate and replacing them with weights. They were the Malia brothers, Abraham, Samuel, and David. Leading them was swarthy, battle-browed Abraham, whose deep-set eyes smoldered with the fires of fanaticism. When he growled an order, the others jumped to obey. With the explosives safely stowed in an airline bag, Abraham permitted himself a wolfish smile, enough here to make a trash pile out of the whole civic center. VIEW-MASTER Reel 2, Picture 1. Just after dawn the next day, the forces of Five-0 descended en masse on the judiciary building. Armed with riot guns and electronic surveillance devices, they quickly clamped a guard over every entrance and set up an elaborate communication system, all of it under McGarrett's thumb. Meanwhile, in the garage workshop at the Malia home, Abraham's powerful but deft hands were wedging little balls of paper between and around 2 evil-looking clock-faced bomb assemblies. Finishing, he put the lid on the innocent-appearing cardboard box they were packed in, handing it to David, the youngest, who looked pale with fatigue and strain. He said, "Okay, let's move." Their move, unknown to them or to Five-0, came ahead of the start of Operation Breakthrough, a secret test of the security system to be conducted by Steve McGarrett's Hawaii Five-0 forces at the governor's insistence. Picture 2. The Malia brothers, their deadly mission accomplished, had got clear of the building just before the undercover operation began. While they watched from the shadows of a nearby building, a car suddenly came roaring erratically along King Street. To the horror of officers on guard, it turned directly toward the front of the judiciary, bounding over the curb and ripping a signpost off. Simultaneously, it burst into flame and its horn stuck, blared into the night. The drunken driver actually was an undercover officer who had been a race driver and stuntman. The police saw only that he needed help, so left their posts and rushed to his aid. Picture 3. 2 of the officers wrenched open the door of the burning car and dragged the supposedly unconscious driver to safety, while another put in a quick call to the fire department. It was impossible to get under the hood of the car to silence the blaring horn, and its strident noise covered up the clanking and scraping sound of a grappling iron as it was thrown up to a ledge at the back of the building. The thrower was none other than Danny, McGarrett's right-hand man and the department's top expert on explosive devices. With Danny was Ben, his well-trained assistant, who carried in a clothes bag 2 clock-operated mechanisms, which to the inexpert observer would have looked identical to those assembled by the Malias. Picture 4. Still covered by the commotion from the street, Danny and Ben quickly scaled the side of the building and entered by shimmying a window. Once inside, they followed a carefully memorized route to a basement boiler room. dodging inside patrols as they went. As one patrol neared, they ducked into a utility closet, holding their breath. Some of the patrols had dogs with them, and if this was one of them, they were done for. It wasn't, and moments later they had reached their goal, a cramped cubicle next to the furnace room, in which could be seen massive stone supports that formed a key part of the foundation. "Okay, Ben," Danny said, "here's your place of business. I'll hunt up one for me." Picture 5. Leaving Ben to wire his dummy bomb to a pipe that ran along the side of the support, Danny headed for another crucial spot in the underpinnings. As he went, he methodically flashed his light along every pipe, every recess or ledge in the concrete that might prove to be a better place yet for a bomb. Alert though he was, his eye nearly missed the tiny gleam of a metallic object, almost entirely hidden from view in a curve of pipe. His light passed on, then abruptly returned, and for a moment he held his breath. It was a bomb, and this one was no dummy. Picture 6. Mere seconds later, Danny was on the walkie-talkie to McGarrett. "Better get on down here, Chief, and forget about Operation Breakthrough. The enemy got here first." It was a tense group that huddled around the ugly device, which was wired to 10 sticks of dynamite. "Enough," Chief Fong said, "to blast the bottom card out from under the guardhouse." Already scores of police were fine-combing every inch of the building for other bombs. Elsewhere in the city, detectives were rousing dealers from their sleep, tracing shipments of explosives, and insulating wire of the type used in the bomb. Here in the basement room, Danny completed his exhaustive inspection. "This baby is the work of an expert," he said. "There is a backup device in there, and I can't quite make out how it works. Get me some more light and a galvanometer and those tools. Ben'll know which ones I need, and then I'll get right to work." Picture 7. With a tape recorder monitoring every move Danny made, every word he spoke, he managed to get on with the hair trigger job of disconnecting the bomb with its built-in booby traps. He worked utterly alone with instant death, his sole companion, others having been ordered out. Even though his nerves were of steel, the calm voice of Chief Fong through the two-way radio steadied him. Even so, the awful strain forced frequent stops for rest. Not until he reported success at last was he told that a second bomb had been found. Now he must start all over. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3. Picture 1. The sun rose above nearby rooftops to reveal the fanatical Abraham with Samuel in a hiding place commanding a view of the judiciary building. He had spotted the bomb disposal van, and his plan, should police succeed in bringing a bomb out, was to set it off with a bullet. The frightened Samuel begged him to give up his insane plan. "The whole block'll go up," he pleaded, "and us with it." The reply was a snarl. "You chicken out like David did, and I'll take care of you like I took care of him." Picture 2. In the depths of the building, the weary Danny was sweating over the second bomb. This one had been hidden inside an air conditioning duct, a cramped and dangerous place to work. While he worked, McGarrett and his crew had traced the dynamite to a warehouse company whose explosives expert they learned was a man named Malia. With sirens screaming, they raced to the Malia home, where a search uncovered young David, bound and gagged and deathly afraid of Abraham, not the police. "He's got a rifle," he gasped. "He'll do anything. I think he's insane." Without waiting for any further details, McGarrett ran for the police car and started barking orders into its radio transmitter. His mind was racing at computer speed. He was balancing one set of possibilities against another. Picture 3. To the control officer at a command post outside the threatened building, he snapped, "Get everybody under cover." Madmen with a rifle on the loose. And the bombs, once the second one is free, are not, repeat, not to be brought outside. Got it? Switching frequencies, then, he put out an all-points bulletin for Abraham Maliha, complete with the description he had extracted from the nearly hysterical younger brother. Dark complexion, moustache. The next move was to order a police helicopter into action. Tell the pilot to put her down in the middle of Civic Center and wait there for me. Picture 4. Danny, sweat-soaked and bone-weary, but triumphant, had just finished disarming the second bomb and turning it over to a uniformed policeman when the word came through from McGarrett. Danny had ordered that the 2 bombs, deactivated but still extremely dangerous, be taken to the disposal van outside. But now he countermanded the order, even though McGarrett hadn't had time to give him the whole picture. "You're to stay inside," he told them. "Don't go near a window and guard those things like they were the Hope Diamond." Picture 5. Aboard the chopper, McGarrett ordered the helicopter to hover above the Civic Center while he searched every rooftop, every possible hiding place with his powerful binoculars. Minutes passed. It seemed hopeless. Then his eye caught a hint of movement under the overhang of a roof and zeroed in on a crouching figure, motioning the pilot to head in that direction. He exchanged the binoculars for a bullhorn. A moment later, his amplified voice was bouncing from roof to roof. "Abraham Maliha, this is Hawaii 5-0. You haven't got a chance. Drop your weapon at once. Put your hands in the air and do it now." Picture 6. The helicopter settled nearer and McGarrett went on. "Your bombs have been defused. They are not coming outside, so we haven't got a chance. So drop your weapon, Maliha." Now he could see the man's dark face, contorted with rage and hate. Picture 7. Without much hope, McGarrett tried another tack. "Your building is already surrounded." The bullhorn boomed. "There'll be an army of cops on that roof in about 1 minute. So drop that rifle and put up your hands." Abraham looked down to the bomb disposal van, but could find no target for his rifle there. Then he swung around, raised the weapon skyward and fired. McGarrett saw the rifle jump, heard the sing of the slug and went into action. "Drop down," he ordered the helicopter pilot, "and buzz him as close as you can." The chopper swung downward rapidly and then came roaring at full speed toward the edge of the roof where Abraham crouched. Abraham swung his rifle, trying to keep the helicopter in his sights. Then the big bird was on him, thundering past, its blades missing his head by a few feet. Instinctively, Abraham ducked and lost his balance. The rifle fell over the edge, and he toppled after it. He landed with a thud on the pavement below and lay still, his body grotesquely twisted. McGarrett spoke into his transmitter. "Okay, Dano, you can take the bombs out." Below, policemen put their guns back in their holsters. They wouldn't be needed now.